Another day, another opportunity to piss people off. Not actually the way I live my life, but it seems like whenever I do reaction videos like this, that's just the way that it goes.
Don't believe the lies, deceit. I can be more than a rumor.
I've been on a kick of like Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, and I wanted to just continue down that road because I find it fascinating from an argument perspective as somebody who's gone through law school, passed the bar. That's me toot my own fucking horn. The bar's a bitch. First of all, if there's anybody out there studying for the bar right now, I wish you nothing but positivity and good luck. And don't forget, whenever you're writing your essays, start off by saying, blank, whatever state you're in, law applies. Texas law applies. Alabama law applies. That gets you a point. 12 different essays, 12 points. I passed the bar by 7 points. Yeah. Anyway, who cares about the damn bar? What we're gonna be checking out is another Ben Shapiro video, but it's not just Ben Shapiro. It's Ben Shapiro and Bill Maher. Opposite sides of the spectrum, one might say. Oh yeah! Am I doing this to promote an unbiased perspective? Oh yeah! Enough touching yourself and diddling your donkus. Let's get it! Links to the original video will be down below in the description. Y'all make sure to check it out if you want to. And let's go, man. I don't know what this is gonna be like, but we'll see. I'm kinda nervous for it. Let me plug my headphones in first. Alright, let's go.
First up, he's the founder and editor-in-chief of the Daily Wire and host of the nationally syndicated Westwood One radio show and podcast, The Ben Shapiro Show. Ben Shapiro! Ben!
Oh God, I'm nervous for some reason, man.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. I always say this to conservatives who come on our show. I'm a little jealous of their guts because they have more guts than the liberals. Liberals don't go on conservative shows. They don't even come on this show sometimes. So I appreciate it, because you know the crowd is not with you.
I got that impression, yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, we should, and let's be civil, right? That's the tone of the day.
I'm a fan.
Okay, so I'm a fan. Well, let's see if I'm a fan.
We gotta respect him, regardless of your political beliefs, audacity, confidence to actually go in front of enemy lines. It's terrifying, right? And that speaks volumes of his character in that facet. So you gotta appreciate it.
See if we're each other's fan at the end of this.
All right.
But I just want to say, we seem to be living in a time of utter tribalism. And I think you and I have a few things in common besides we were both uninvited at Berkeley to speak. But we've been coy about our affiliation. Like, I've never really wanted to say I was a Democrat. I always voted Democratic, but they disappointed me a lot. You know, you've been coy about it. You're a Republican, you're a conservative.
Sure.
I think right now, I'm a Democrat. And there's only two teams. And since all the Republicans are now backing Trump, except for the ones who are leaving, but he totally owns that party now. If you're a conservative, aren't you really Team Trump?
Well, it depends on what. So what I've called myself is sometimes Trump. Okay, people have said there's never Trump and then there's always Trump. Sometimes Trump meaning that when he does something that I like, I cheer, and when he does something that I hate, which happens, then I boo. And
Right.
I'm booing as loudly as you are when he does something that's really bad. But listen, you're very upset about this Supreme Court nominee. I am very pleased about this Supreme Court nominee as a conservative, right? He's doing a lot of things that I like in terms of policy. Now, that doesn't mean that I am cheering his character, because I think that it is very difficult to cheer Donald Trump's character, nor do I think it's appropriate.
Well, what do you like?
Okay, so I like...
Pay close attention to that notion right there. He's separating Donald Trump's policy from his personality, which is smart. You can be a fan of one and not the other. It's hard for people nowadays to actually go ahead and do that. I love civility. Why can I not talk? I love civility, dude. So far I'm really enjoying this.
The tax cuts, I like
You
the
like your
movement.
tax cuts? Yeah,
It hurts me, by the way, in California, but I like it as a general policy.
Ladies, he's rich. Okay. Okay.
Bill Maher's funny, dude.
See, I don't even know what the Republican beliefs are. I mean, you're a young guy, but you certainly remember 2 years back when beliefs were completely the opposite of what they are now.
Well, which
they were
ones?
for
Which ones?
free trade. They were
I agree with you.
giant deficit hawks.
Yep.
The Tea Party was all about we're going to solve the deficit.
Yep.
But they didn't, did they?
Well, the Democrats ain't going to do it either, so...
I know, but they didn't say they were.
Right.
The Tea Party kept saying, we have got to get this deficit.
That's one thing that Ben Shapiro just did that I don't really like. If someone says, hey, you're not doing something, and then your response is, no, you're not doing it either, it's like, dude, I mean, seriously, come on. Ben, I think, is smarter than that, so I don't really like that he did that there, to be quite honest, but it is what it is.
Damn, this motherfucker has ran up $1 trillion in 6 months. What about Russia? They used to be the enemy. What about free trade? I mean, how do you turn on a dime?
Sorry to pause it so much, but Russia used to be the enemy? Kind of like look where we are now type of deal? Okay.
So quickly in a couple of years.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's been very frustrating to me to watch so many Republicans do exactly that. I've been incredibly critical of Republicans who have suddenly become fans of Vladimir Putin or have suddenly become fans of tariffs. I think all of that is idiocy. But again, I think that with regard to judges, with regard to taxes, with regard to Middle Eastern policy, particularly Iran and Israel, I'm much more of a fan of President Trump than I certainly would have been of Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. And by the way, I didn't vote for President Trump in the last election because of my concerns about him.
Okay, so you would not vote for a Democrat under any circumstance or some circumstance?
I mean, I would say some circumstance, but the Democratic Party would have to stop being insane, meaning that they would actually have to approach something like moderation in terms of policy and also present a face that doesn't look like
so off the wall,
shouting down people at gas stations or entering restaurants and trying to throw them out.
Okay, well, if you're talking about the civility thing, why don't we start with the Republicans stop saying lock her up? You don't think that's a worse abridgment of civility?
I don't think it's... I mean,
that's actually a good point, right? Like, whether you think Hillary Clinton needed to be locked up or not, if we're talking about the main point of civility, it's like, yeah, I understand that. I understand that perspective.
And it's not just lock her up. He talked about locking Comey up. He talks about locking journalists up. There's a guy who said lock Tim Kaine up. How about we stop the lock them up? Shouldn't the civility argument start there before we care about who gets their entree?
Well, it isn't just about who gets their entree. It's about who gets harassed in public. By the way, I'm not going to make excuses for President Trump's
But which is more
statements.
important?
Well, I think that all of it is important. If you're going to ask me, I think we can chew gum and walk at the same time, can't we? Can't we just say incivility is bad across the board?
Yes, but you can't be a person...
Why is it that we're only opposed when you're a Democrat? You're only opposed to incivility when it's Donald Trump. But suddenly Maxine Waters is anti-Maxine.
Because, Ben, you can't walk into a room and see an elephant and a mouse and not know which one is bigger.
But it's not an elephant and a mouse. It's two elephants.
But it is. Really?
Yes.
Threatening to lock up journalists...
I needed 600 officers to protect me at Berkeley. Yes, it's an elephant and an elephant. Yes, it's an elephant and an elephant. When Joe Biden in 2012 says to Mitt Romney that he's going to put y'all back in chains about black people. This stuff pre-existed Donald Trump. Donald Trump is terrible on this.
But that didn't come from the president at Berkeley.
It came from the vice president when he was saying that Mitt Romney, the cleanest person ever, okay, was a guy who was going to put y'all back in chains. To pretend incivility started with Donald Trump.
No, not incivility, but I'm talking about the level to which it's at, where you're threatening.
I agree with you.
Do you really think Donald Trump respects the rule of law? I mean, if somebody...
No, but I think the Constitution itself is a pretty damn durable document, thank God.
I've read your tweets, like, about Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Now, I have some problems with her, too. But you would vote for Trump over her.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Okay, so the reason I'd vote for Trump over her is because I agree with him a lot more on policy. And
I know that this is getting, like, super political, right? And I tend to stray away from the politics on this channel. Nonetheless, I mean, we're here, we're doing it. Yeah. I'm not going to push my views on you because it doesn't matter what my views are. You are educated enough to make your own opinion. I'm just here to kind of break down the argument and see what this is all about. I love the competition. You got two opposing sides and they're civil about it thus far. Let's see if it continues.
I actually believe a lot of the damage that he has done to the country in terms of social fabric has already occurred. So I said I didn't vote for him in 2016. The reason I didn't vote for him in 2016 is because I feared the damage he would do to the social fabric, and I also didn't think he was going to govern conservative because I didn't see a lot of indicators of that. He's governed a lot more conservative than I thought he was going to, and as far as the damage to the social fabric, if he's already done it, I'm not actually mitigating against the damage to the social fabric by not voting for him in 2020.
Can I read your... Here's
damage is already done,
where we
I guess.
sort of agree, and then I'll show you where we don't.
Okay.
This is Kamala Harris tweeted, "Children are our nation's future. We must listen to them about what they care about and give them a voice in our government." And you wrote, "Ridiculous." I'm with you. They're children. They don't get a voice, and I think I know what she meant.
Stupidest thing I ever heard. That is very poorly worded.
Children should not have a voice in our government. They're children. And you're right. This is where the left drives me crazy. But then you wrote about children, "They are also incapable of fully rational thought, thoroughly uncivilized, and completely driven by immediate emotional response." I can't think of a more perfect description of Donald Trump. So... when you wrote that...
Damn, that's actually kind of a good point.
You
that's
didn't
funny.
see the irony when you wrote that tweet and described children that way. It never entered your mind that Donald Trump fit that perfectly?
Well, I don't believe that Donald Trump is a person whose views are leading in my imagination where the country ought to go. I mean, I don't look to Donald Trump as a thought leader. I wouldn't look to a child as a thought leader. I don't look to Donald Trump as a thought leader. So
what are you talking about? He's the president of the United States. He's not the thought leader?
Nope.
Can he have some thoughts?
I don't know, can he? You tell me.
I don't know. Well, it seems like his only thoughts, to me, are to work with Vladimir Putin to make Russia great again. And what I don't understand...
He's been a lot harsher on Putin than Obama was, by the way.
Harsher on Putin?
Not in terms of his rhetoric, in terms of his actions. He has armed the people of Ukraine with deadly weaponry, which Obama would not do. 200 Russian soldiers were killed in Syria by U.S. forces under Donald Trump, not under Barack Obama. It was Barack Obama who was saying to Dmitry Medvedev that he wanted to provide him with flexibility in 2012. Crimea was annexed under Barack Obama.
Wow. This reminds me of when people, Hitchens used to come on the show and try to convince me that Saddam Hussein was, you know, a radical Islamist when he was actually a secularist. You have to go a long way to make that argument.
Not on policy.
He tweeted yesterday defending Putin against what our own agencies say. That he said Russia says again they didn't meddle in the election.
Dude says a lot of crappy stuff.
But why?
A lot of immoral
why
stuff.
have there been 19 indictments and 6 convictions so far in the Mueller inquiry? Why? So many.
It's honestly really interesting, backtracking just a little bit, hearing the talks of Russia and Ukraine from years ago and seeing where they're at now. It's mind-boggling, dude. It really is. It's bizarre. It gives a lot more context to what's going on in this argument. It gives a lot more credence to it and just kind of a deeper understanding of what's actually happening. And it's interesting to watch this video through the lens of what's going on today. That's the best way I can put it.
Lies about so many meetings with so many Russians, so many attempts to have back channel sources.
I have a question. Do you actually think that Donald Trump colluded with Vladimir Putin?
Yes.
Do you?
You don't? How can you not? How can you not?
Okay, so I do not, because I watched that campaign. I don't think that Donald Trump could collude with his own left foot.
Well, I don't think he did it, but his son did it. The people who Mueller is
and when
indicting.
the evidence comes out, I'm happy to go for the indictments. I'm fine with the indictments.
Great.
Okay, criminal activity is criminal activity.
But you see
That's
what
fine.
you see.
But I'm not going to attribute to Trump something he didn't do when he's too ignorant to have done it.
Well, he's not too ignorant. He's not too ignorant to be a criminal, Ben. He's been a criminal his whole life.
Okay, but
we've seen that.
Bill.
He's a scam artist. He's a con artist.
I don't know how I turned into the Trump defender here, but is he a doofus or is he an evil genius? You got to pick one.
Okay. Actually, you don't. You don't have to pick one.
Really?
Look, I'm not saying he's like Hitler. But I am
but
not.
Here is very...
But Hitler was crazy, and he was a genius at what he did, which was lie and manipulate people. So you can be both. Okay, but let's get back to Russia. Because, first of all, why a nice Jewish boy like you wants to be on Team Treason, I have no idea.
Team Treason.
But...
Dude, I'm happy to wait for the Mueller indictments, and if they come down and they target Trump, I'm happy to see him impeached. But I need to see evidence. Where's the evidence?
But you know that the Republican Congress...
and Ben Shapiro went through law school, right? Everybody wants to see the evidence. That's kind of what you get. You know, I agree with him right there. You do. If criminal activity is criminal activity. If it was Donald Trump, if it was Joe Biden, it doesn't matter. If they're doing criminal things, they deserve to be locked up.
This week with Rosenstein at Congress. They are trying to impeach Rosenstein so they can get rid of him, so we don't ever see. They don't want us ever to see it. They know there's something, probably 1,000 things in there that are incredibly damning. You don't think that's
and if they impeach Rosenstein, and if Trump replaces...
Is that a line for you?
I don't know it's the final line, because there's still another step that has to happen. Rosenstein has to be replaced by somebody who then fires Mueller. So if Rosenstein is fired, and Mueller is left to his own devices, which is basically, by the way, what happened with this investigation when Comey was fired, then I don't see where the line is. Mueller is the one who matters here, not Rosenstein.
But Mueller's report goes to the Deputy Attorney General, and if Trump puts Scott Baio in that position, he can just throw it in the trash.
And if he throws it in the trash or quashes the Mueller investigation, then yes, impeachment should be on the table.
Thank you, Ben. I want to do it again. I appreciate you coming by. I know Friday night.
That's interesting, man. And Bill Mayer,
Ben
you
Shapiro,
gotta
give him
you
a hand.
gotta put respect where respect's due, and I think that was about as civil as it could have gone. Whenever people are on complete opposite side of the spectrum politically, right? That is what I like to see. Dialogue, even if you disagree, I like to see respect. I like to see open-mindedness. I like to see people letting the other one talk a lot. There's some talking going over back and forth there, but you know, that is what it is. It's bound to happen, and if you keep it to a minimum, that's what I like to see. Nonetheless, sparking intelligent dialogue and conversation, talking about the difficult topics is something we need to keep doing in today's day and age. It is something that triggers people. It is something that makes people feel uncomfortable, and because of that, it is something that is not talked about as much as it needs to be. Whew, that was hard to say, but anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that video today. I've been enjoying going down this little road that we've been going down, and I hope you guys have been enjoying it too. If you have taken the time out of your busy schedule to check this video out, I want to say thank you so much. And guys, if you are not subscribed, I'd be fucking stoked if you hit that subscribe button and join the family. We'd be more than happy to have you guys. Let's hit 1 million soon. And with that being said, keep smiling, keep being yourself. Don't let anybody throw shade at you. I will see you tomorrow. That's a motherfucking fact, though. Yeah, I love y'all. Peace.
Don't believe the lies